forgot to change the title of this. That's okay. How's everybody doing tonight? What's going on? What do you know? What are we doing? We are working on a dice bag here. Where was I working? This is getting confusing because it keeps flipping in and out. But we are... Let's see here. We're expanding the next segment. So we've got the top done. And we're going to put in some expansions. That'll take this from, I think it's 48 rings all the way around, up to 102 rings all the way around. And then we'll use some contractions like we have here at the top to make the bottom. Alright. Okay, let me make sure we got everything going on here. Let's go to live scene. 1, 2. Microphone's working. Alright. Get that out of the way. How's everybody doing tonight? My name's Sean. I run mailworks.com. It's in the link tree. And I make chainmail. And actually, I need to monitor this for a little bit. I want to try and make it so that the TikTok view is not hindered by my hands. Oh my goodness. It's like I've never done this before. So we're working on making a very spherical dice bag. That looks pretty good on my end. So now we got to add ring by ring. These rings were used in a video not too long ago where I crushed up some ceramic and ceramic coffee cups and put them all in a tumbler for a period of time. And they're not that clean, to be quite honest. The burrs on everything they pretty much got removed. They're much smoother now than they were. I don't know if anyone's a tattoo artist or a nurse. The Potato Farm filed the host. I love potatoes. I am originally from Idaho, and potatoes are kind of our thing out there. I saw someone asking, the TikTok was, what is your favorite potato? And someone starts answering with the species of potato and not like mashed potatoes or what's the cheesy potatoes, I forget what it's called. Got a box of them ready to go in my pantry. But anyway, so the person responded with the species of potato rather than like what potato dish was their favorite. And down in the comments, everybody was saying Yukon Golds were their favorite. And I'm a fan of Yukon Golds, but Idaho potatoes are what I grew up with. Man, I need to learn to speak the words that I'm trying to say. And then we eat a lot of russet potatoes here at the house. But yeah, love potatoes. Excuse me. All right, where are we at here? Okay, so yes, these rings were tumbled with the ceramic, trying to remove all the burrs off of them, but they were also in a previous project, and so this is my pile of rings. They're all open, right? I can zoom in a little bit. And so I'm just using these up before I use the rings in here that I would have to open and close, because No particular reason. I just got done taking them all apart. So they're not as clean as I would like, because I was making a bracelet out of them, and the burrs on these rings were just too much for them to be used for jewelry. So once we get this all together, we will be tumbling it and cleaning it extensively before we attempt to anodize it. And that was an interesting project. The crushed ceramic coffee cup to use as a tumbling media. Did it work? Yes. Was it messy? And could I have just bought some ceramic media that would have been better? Yes. I ended up breaking my 5-gallon bucket, so I need a new one from Lowe's or wherever. Gotta grab one next time I start a home project and begin the journey of 1,000 trips back and forth between the house and the hardware store, trying to fix whatever I'll be working on next. Right now, I've got a fence post I need to dig up, but that is going to wait till spring, unless it comes down the middle of winter. Knock on wood. I hope that doesn't happen. There is a minimal chance of that happening, but once we get enough snowpack, that should hold the fence beam. That should hold the beam in place until we get a new fence post put in next spring. That's one home project I gotta do. Got a sprinkler system that has some leaks in it, and I don't use the sprinkler system. We could have used it down in Texas, but being in Wisconsin, it's doesn't make any sense. We just had a foot of rain the last couple days, and I mean the driest month was the beginning of the summer, and sure, the grass kind of died out, but I'm not so diehard about my lawn that I've ever actually been concerned with how it looks. It's like I've been mowing and trimming lawns for 100 years now. Started very young, helping out my dad, while all my siblings rested inside the cool air conditioning of the house. And yeah, I am not concerned about how my lawn looks. You know, I don't want it to be an eyesore, but if it's hot out, if it's hot out and the grass dies off, I'm not going to make extra effort in order to keep it green, you know. Bogdan Markowitz shared the live. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the live. If you're watching and you like chainmail, or you know somebody who likes chainmail, or they want to learn how to make it, by all means, please share the live. We will help them on their way to starting a fantastic new hobby where they can spend thousands of hours and dollars weaving little tiny rings together into whatever they want. And the rings get cooler than this. Titanium is gray, right? It is. This is kind of dull even for titanium, so it needs to be cleaned up more. But it should clean up really nice. And the question of whether or not it's going to be anodized, right? Somehow, some way, it's going to get anodized. Whether I'm using 9-volt batteries in here and trying to avoid having them blow up because they overheat, or if I send it out to someone, or if I just go ahead and bite the bullet and purchase an anodizer for myself. right? There will be some color on this shortly after it's finished. Shortly after we're done using up and making this bin of titanium rings into something, right? So it will be much more colorful by the time we're done. And what I really need to do is I really just need to bite the bullet and get the seemingly more expensive anodizer set up, and that way I can do more titanium projects. And it doesn't even have to be chainmail titanium projects. It can be anything. Any titanium item that is anodizable, which is something I have to research more. Most grades of titanium can be anodized, but some resist it, so right now the expansions I'm working on I'm taking them out to 16 rings wide, right? And so there will be trapezoids. I think trapezoid was the word I was looking for earlier. I just posted a video about this. And is a trapezoid a four-sided object that has unequal sides, right? So this section right here is what I was talking about. I think it's a trapezoid. I came up with protozoa. Is anodizing the thing where you put it in a bucket of electric water and it gets colorful? Yes. You take some distilled water and you put some baking soda in it or something. Oh my God, X followed the host. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. On our way to reaching 10,000 followers so that I can use TikTok Live Studio or other streaming services with which to stream chainmail content. But yeah, so you take a tub of distilled water, add some baking soda to make an electrolyte solution, and then you run electricity through it using certain cathodes or certain anodes or whatever they're called. I have a lot of work to do before doing it myself, a lot of videos to watch, but of the metals that you can anodize, like aluminum and titanium and niobium, titanium and niobium you can do at home. Aluminum, my understanding is that it requires a lot of expensive toxic chemicals that you wouldn't necessarily want in your house or near your house. So definitely want the setup. Thank you for the follow, Sarah. Definitely want the setup to be able to make my chainmail more appealing. Dull gray chainmail. Almost all chainmail's dull gray. Almost all of it that's ever been made. And with the advancements in metallurgy, things like anodizing coming along, add a little bit of color and it's nice. It's one of the things I love about being alive at this current time and having this hobby is that right now we're at the greatest point, the greatest advancement in how many materials you can work with as far as the different types of metal you can use. We have the most, research available at any given time in history, and just the largest widespread distribution of information to the point where anyone can pick this hobby up. What are you doing, buddy? I'm making a dice bag. You need some gauntlets made? I need some gauntlets made too. I actually saw a video of someone making some gauntlets earlier today, like proper, not chainmail gauntlets, but armored gauntlets. It was a really cool video. There is so much work that goes into that stuff. Ray Hernandez shared the video. Thank you so much. I've never made a glove. I have a butcher's glove. And I know people who are vastly superior at making chainmail than me. I know people who have made gloves, and they're amazing. I won't lie. Looks like we got about 2 more rows left. What are gauntlets? They're armor for your hand. Someone said they needed a pair. There's a lot of really cool armor and armorers out there. Some of them, there's one guy, he'll have like a flat stock of metal, like a piece of plate, and he'll hit it with a hammer once and then it'll transition into a half-formed piece of armor, and then he'll hit it again and it's the whole piece of armor, and it's a really cool combination of his craft and video editing. I have learned a lot about video editing using this app, and it's been pretty fun. Far better than anything I could make myself. It's kind of, once you start to use TikTok, you're forced to get better at making videos, and by no means am I any good at it, but I'm learning. Reminds me of that sound on TikTok. I'm still no good at TikTok. Or however it goes. There we go. Yeah, so once we use up all this titanium, we'll anodize whatever we make, and the cube that I finished recently, and we'll go from there. We'll move on to the next project after that, which I don't know what that will be yet. I've got several lined up over here that either need to be finished or started, or are rings that I don't have a plan for, and I need to come up with something kind of similar to these titanium ones right now. Data boy Jill, thank you for the follow. So I didn't have any. Okay, that's not true. I had a plan for these when I bought them. I was going to make some items similar to the stainless pieces I had made. I wanted a light, airy line of bracelets. However, these had too many burrs and barbs in them and could not be used for contact, jewelry that has contact with your skin. Just a bad idea. So I tumbled them into some ceramic media. That's gotten rid of most of the burrs. Most of them are cleaned up pretty well. It did work, however, it made these rings kind of dirty and they need to be cleaned up a little bit more. So now I'm working on a dice bag out of them, which was, not my first idea. Anodization is one of those things that I primarily use stainless steel in all of what I make anymore, because it's not going to change color. If it gets dirty, you can clean it. It should last a good long time, and by a good long time I mean all the pieces I make anymore should outlive you. That's my goal anyway. So I want to make items that you can hand down to your kids when I make them. So I don't use a lot of anodized rings for jewelry. I use them primarily for static pieces like inlays. And that's my personal preference. There are a bunch of people who use anodized rings or anodized scales for different costume jewelry pieces or costume pieces, and I'm not opposed to making them or things like that, but if my opinion is given any authority on the subject, then I won't be using anodized anything, rings or scales, for large projects that I'm trying to make last for forever. A static piece like an inlay, I have an inlay that's in a frame. It's behind some glass. I believe, it's glass that it's behind. And it has a live edge frame. It's not in the sunlight, and I expect that to keep its color for pretty much ever. It's down here on my window ledge in the basement, on part of the ledge that is next to the window. It's not, the sun isn't shining on it, and so that should last for a good long time. Whereas if it were hanging in the sun, it might have some UV exposure and have some color degradation over time. But if the rings had been used to make jewelry, anodization comes off. Some people can't wear it at all because the chemicals from their skin make it so that the anodization just kind of rubs off. You want metal gloves? So we've got gauntlets and metal gloves so far. If I could do metal gloves. I don't know if I could do them justice. I'd have to really focus on getting them right, look up some patterns or something. Not that I couldn't do it, but I'd want to use a ring size smaller than this too. Thank you for the follow, Noel. All right. Yeah. There are companies that make gloves. There are companies that make welded chainmail butcher gloves, and there is the Neptunic Shark Suit Company. They make chainmail gloves so that you don't get bit by sharks. My goal is to one day own a Neptunic shark suit. I will never go swimming with the sharks or scuba diving or any of that. But I just want to own one of their suits because I love chainmail, and it would be something cool to own that not a lot of other chainmail artists have. They're only like $7,500 or something. That's all. Nothing, no biggie. All right, where are we at here? We've got 2 of the trapezoids done, so I can kind of show you what's going on here, right? These triangles up here are, I don't want to call them contractures, that's not the right word, but they will contract and close the top of the dice bag. And these expansions down here, these trapezoids that are spreading out, right, will make the overall diameter of the dice bag larger, right? So we're going to go from approximately 48 rings around to 102. So little over double the size of what it is now. It's approximately 3 inches wide at the top here, so we might get to 6 inches around. Probably not. I don't think it will go that far. It might. We'll see. But we'll keep adding these odd shapes here. We need 6 of them, and then we'll sew up the seams, and that will make the overall diameter of the dice bag larger. And then we'll close it up. And let me double check, make sure I've done this right. Okay. All those seem to line up. They're just going to have to be a 45-degree seam added in here. Let's see if I gotta find the next spot to start weaving the next trapezoid. So this should only take, I don't know, maybe till the end of this week. It's definitely not going to use up all the rings I have on hand here, so we will have to make another project out of these titanium rings. I want to be done with them so that we can move on to some of the other stuff. But that is the process, is 1 ring at a time, and the more you work on it, the sooner it gets done. The rings aren't going to weave themselves as much as I would like for them to sometimes. So I want to get to a point where I've got all of the extra rings that I have, or unused rings that I have, used up. Because they're very old rings. They were meant for projects that I started a long time ago, many of which I either didn't have the skill to complete, or didn't have an idea of what I was going to make with them. Hey Wally, how you doing? We are working on a dice bag over in here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I don't, yeah, I had a bunch of rings that I didn't have any plans for, that I need to, or the projects that I was working on with them did not work. So I had to come up with something else. So we're using up all of those rings that I've collected over quite a while. And in that time, there has been a plethora of ring manufacturers that have popped up and started their own businesses. And so there's a whole bunch of people producing a bunch of really high quality stuff that you can choose from now. So there's more options available than ever, both in materials to use, designs to weave, and manufacturers to choose from. excuse me, there's no time like the present to start up a awesome hobby where you can make really cool stuff. Where was I? There I am. Right? No. This keeps reversing on me. Keep losing my spot. Is it stainless steel? No, this is titanium that I need to clean up a little bit more before I try to anodize it. So, I mentioned previously that titanium is normally kind of dingy gray, but also this is just a little bit dirtier than normal. That ring is too far gone to use, dang it. Alright, so speaking of ring manufacturers that have begun the process of providing multiple options for people to choose from when ordering their rings if they don't want to make them themselves, we've got Wally over at chainreaction.ca, a Canadian company. I've got some of their rings. They are fantastic. And if you're watching on any of the platforms I'm streaming on, by all means, go check him out. I've ordered some rings. I want to order some more, especially if you saw the cubes I was working on. The titanium jelly cube that I was working on is finished. Right? That is, yeah, the layer 9 is done. Needs to be cleaned, etched, and then anodized, and hopefully we'll get some cool color out of it. So it's about 7,000 rings or so. It's 7.4 ounces, I believe. So it's as done as it's going to get. These rings I'm working with right now were going to be added to the cube, but I only have enough of the rings I'm working with currently to add half a row to each side of the cube, right? So that didn't really seem to make much sense. And then I started working with these, and these have almost no spring to them. They're kind of very dead. And so I believe that they are a different grade of titanium than the ones for the cube. They were all ordered at the same time, long time ago. And so I don't know what grade of titanium they would be, but they're a lot softer. So when I started noticing that, I was like, all right, let me just make something else out of them. And since I don't have a colorful dice bag, I was like, let's see if we can get some of this titanium put together and anodized in a dice bag. Not that I need a dice bag, I don't. And I'm making it an unusual shape. Spherical shaped instead of condom shaped, which is what other dice bags of mine have looked like over the years. I have at least one phallic shaped dice bag over on the window ledge. Yeah, it is a pretty dense little cube. It's a little wonky too, so there originally was a mistake in it, and I don't know if I made another one, but there's not a ton. There's not a ton of wiggle to it. The rings are all doubled up, so I don't expect it to have as much, but it's really stiff along here and really loose over here, and so I don't know if I did something wrong, if the rings are just behaving a weird way. I did find a mistake and I took that out and it seemed to be moving just fine, but as I expanded the ring to all 9 layers, certain areas just didn't want to move at all. It's definitely not like the bright aluminum cube I made from the rings from Chain Reaction. Right? That one has all of the attitude and sass of a standard jelly cube. But I'm okay with the results because if I can anodize it and get some cool colors out of it, and it's just going to go on into the rest of my collection, and it will have used up all the rings that I needed it to. So it is what it is. Where are we at here? I do want to, I have some more of, I think it's 18 gauge 1/8 rings of bright aluminum, and what I'm going to do is use them for the one jelly cube I have made out of them already and just expand it and make it larger and larger and larger, because I need a tactile display piece for the bar that's down here in the basement, and I have a rubber band ball right now, and it's going to get replaced with a really large jelly cube. At least that's my goal. That'll be another project at some point. But there's plenty of work to do to keep me busy over the winter. Got an inlay to work on. I don't know exactly what I'm going to make out of this. Let me grab it real quick and I'll show you. It's 9 feet of full Persian. Right? That right there. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I want to wrap it around a large craft ring. And I have more of these rings. And I'll just make a big craft ring wreath out of it. Right? I don't know. We'll see. yeah, lots of stuff to do. There is one project that it's almost cold enough. I'm trying to get out on my Road King one more time this summer. I did not ride at all this summer. I've taken it out once, and I need to get rid of the gas in it, which is fine. But once it's in the garage and covered up, I'm gonna take the saddlebags off, bring them down here. I have this blackened stainless steel from years ago, and we're gonna cover the tops of the saddlebags. I've got some blackened stainless steel and some regular stainless steel to use up. So we're gonna take that blackened stainless steel and throw as much of it as we can on the saddlebags to try and use it up, because really not a whole lot else I can do with it. I was using it to make a shirt, but I could. That'd be interesting. Get another motorcycle vest. Hubbard648, thanks for the follow. I could get another motorcycle vest and wrap that. I have a leather motorcycle vest that has a Japanese 12-2 cover on it, right? And it's cool. It's easily one of the coolest pieces I've ever done. And as far as any like clothing or armor that I've made, it's the highest quality one as well. As far as being comfortable, as far as it still fitting me. So much so that I plan on tearing apart my other shirts and adding leather around the neck, buckles to buckle them up instead of having them slip over my head. Lots of stuff. May not be able to do that to the shirts that I've made. So I don't know if I can get... I'm pretty sure I can't get any more rings in those sizes. But we'll see. We'll order a sample from TRL and see what happens. So if you're watching over on TikTok, I do appreciate you being here. It's by far the fastest growing platform I've ever done any work on. I was joking with, I went to go get my hair cut. Had my ears lowered, and I was joking with the girl who was doing my hair. I was like, yeah, you're talking to an official professional TikToker now. Because I had like one video go. It's almost at 30,000 views. It's cool. I'm almost TikTok famous. One day. I really want to avoid what a lot of chainmail artists do is they make and sell their work. And don't get me wrong, I sell plenty of the stuff that I make. The issue is that is a lifestyle that I don't want to have be my life. And I don't need to, go out to... Hey, Jeep and Jamber. I do not want to be going out to festivals on the weekends and setting up a booth and plying my wares. That does not sound like fun to me or an enjoyable experience. So I sell some of what I make online, and that's it. But many chainmail artists decide that that's what they want to do. Which is... they're braver people than me. You were making dinner. What'd you have for dinner? I had steak and mashed potatoes for dinner. And it was very good. I could have let them marinate a little longer, but I was not paying attention when I went to grab steaks for dinner. The ribeyes I grabbed were about half as thick as what I normally get when you get a ribeye. Normally you get like 3/4 to an inch thick ribeye. And these were like half an inch thick. So really thin ribeyes. When they were cooked well, so there was no problem, but there was no way to have any pink in the center. It was cooked all the way through, right? Which, it was still tasty. And it wasn't chewy or burnt or any of that. So it was good, but, you know, normally I like a good solid ribeye with plenty of heft to it. Tonight's pork chops and mashed potatoes. There you go. Corn and green beans. First time cooking pork chops. I was on the phone with my grandma the other day telling her about how much I enjoyed her pork chops growing up. Spent an inordinate amount of time with my grandparents because they lived right by the school that I went to. So I was dropped off there in the morning, taken to school, and then picked up from school and taken there until I could be picked up to go home at night for many years. And my grandma was one mean cook. Never had a bad meal at her house. And I try to be, when I cook, I try to be more like her. Everything in the fridge comes out when she's cooking. She always liked to have a little dish of potato salad and cottage cheese or macaroni salad, and all that would come out. She'd have an actual salad to go with your meal. Then there would be the main course and the side dishes to go with that, plus any leftovers that were in the fridge. Oh, and you probably need some toast. Here's the butter. Stuff your face. Eat all the food. Don't go hungry. So I try to do that whenever I cook here. And I am not a 100th of the cook that she was, but I am not as bad as I once was. Pretty good at making something from almost anything. I'm not. I can make food that you can survive on, but it's not going to be a good time. Cooking's one of those things where I do it because I have to do it to eat. I'm not good at it, and I don't like doing it, but because our bodies require food, I cook. Right? But I much prefer it when someone else has prepared the food, because it's always better. Not always, but most of the time. There are people who enjoy cooking. And I'm not good with prep work. I have developed a few dishes over the years that are okay. I have a decent chili, decent enchilada, you know, the Mexican-American style enchiladas. Decent spaghetti. I make a pretty good spaghetti. What else do I make? Good breakfast food. Definitely edible. Definitely something, you know, I think anyone would eat twice. But, you know. Alright. This music has been like super slow all night. We're on lo-fi, chill in bed. For some reason, chill EDM. I don't know what's going on with these stations, but there was a Surprise Me station on Pretzel Rock, and it seems to be gone now. Pop music to sing along to? What? I don't know what that means. chill jazz, chill pop, electro swing, happy EDM, melodic bass, R&B, synthwave. Yeah, I don't want to, like, I want to be... Oh, and like half of them are all locked out. I don't know what's going on here. Want more features, upgrade to premium. I want what I had before. I'm going to have to search. What is the word? As you are. I still can't believe I couldn't think of trapezoid earlier. I don't want to, okay. This is, we're just going to pick something else here because I don't want to hype bangers. I don't know what EDM is. I'm not a music person. You excel at breakfast, especially breakfast burritos. Polka, polka. There we go. Alright, this is better than whatever we were listening to. That was rough. I apologize to everyone who can hear the music and was getting tired listening to that. Alright. Where did that go? There it is. There we go. This is getting my blood pumping. EDM is electronic dance music. I lead a very sheltered life, and so I know very little about the music world. Especially if it happened after 1990. I'm not good with with bands before 1990. I'm terrible with bands after 1990, right? I know a few of them, but I know far more about 80s bands than I do about anything after 1990. And it's one of those things where I'm 100% okay with that. I've never had an interest in knowing anything about the voices on the radio. It's never been my thing. So every time I meet someone who's like, oh, have you heard of so-and-so? I'm like, no. I do not know what that means, or who they are, or what made them popular. If you played a song by them, I wouldn't know it. And that's not to take pride in my ignorance of music. It's just not my thing. Other people, that's their thing, and they're good at it, and I don't want to know as much as they do. This is so much better than that lo-fi stuff we were listening to. Like, it sounded good, but it was very, what's the word? Just make you want to go to sleep music. You prefer something along the lines of the following for chainmail? A Man of Marth, Zelda, and the Hobbit, Lord of the Rings? Yeah, there you go. I like me a good Zelda soundtrack. And can't go wrong with Lord of the Rings. I don't have a TV down here in the basement. I don't need a TV. I want a TV to put down here. I've got a space. It's a nook for the TV built into the wall above the gas fireplace down here. And I want to get another, I don't know, I might get an Xbox One and put it down here. I have a PS5. Get an Xbox One and then And not like I have the money for any of that right now. Hence why I don't have a TV currently. But I already have a PS5, right? And so if I'm going to get another gaming system and set it up down here, I wouldn't buy another PS5. Although maybe I should. I don't know. I have one. All right, one more row on this third trapezoid we built. So if you're watching, you can kind of see already how this edge right here is going to be the new diameter. The diameter that we had started was 3 inches wide and it was up at the neck here, but now it's around this edge. And so we started narrow, we've expanded out into more of a sphere shape, and then we'll use the contractions similar to what we have at the top here to bring it all back together at the bottom. Should be cool. So one more row on which one? This thing keeps reversing on me. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but yeah, one more row here. But yes, I want a TV down here and some way to play DVDs or streaming content or whatever. Because the previous owner had speakers built into all the walls. So there's a huge sound system down here. You can really get it bumping down here. It's quite the party outfit. So I want a TV to hook up some good shows that I can watch. And then have it listen to the soundtrack on the speakers down here. We have a receiver, so you can get the radio going and hook up your Bluetooth and from your phone and play songs from there, and that's a lot of fun. You can make it. You need to add some like a disco ball and some flashing lights. It'll really be a party. Get a smoke machine. Get a smoke machine just for the basement. I'm the only one that's ever down here unless it's the holidays. But could have my own party. I do want one day, I've talked about this for a while too, TV one day, another type of gaming system down here, but I want more cameras because I have I have a desk and 4 tables here. I got all my chainmail tools here. I got all my leather tools on the table next to me. The next table is a mix of old projects, supplies, and my welder. And then the table after that is just, it's a table full of projects that I either need to finish or finished projects, right? That need to be sold. So I want at least one more camera, if not 2, that can be pointed at those tables and I can work over there with some kind of screen setup so that I can see comments when they crop up. I think that would be a little bit more freeing because I'm kind of stuck here, right? Especially for TikTok. If you're watching, please give me a follow so that I can hit 10,000 followers so that I'm not quite as stuck with using my phone to stream. Because the stream has actually been pretty good, right? I haven't seen any complaints of lagging. How long does it take to make them? Uno? Completely depends on the item we're making. So let's see here. This cube took me somewhere between 35 and 40 hours. Right? I don't have another good project in hand. Let's see here. This Ringception bracelet probably took me, if each one of these, 1, 2, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 10 hours. 5, 10 hours, something like that. I don't know, to be quite honest. You know, clearly different items take different amounts of time, right? But I do, if this cube is any measurement of how fast it takes to make something, this was estimated to be 150 to 200 rings an hour, right, when I made that. And that was just me working on it and putting it all together, and then seeing how many hours had passed and weighing it to see how many rings had been added. And so it wasn't accurate to any scientific methodology, but 150 to 200 rings an hour. I know people that when cruising can do somewhere between 300 and 400 rings an hour. If I'm not streaming and I'm only having music play in the background or listening to a podcast or something, I can go quite fast. But the speed, while speed is good, right? While speed is good, what you really want is to ensure that your closures are as good as possible. J. Field, thank you for the follow. Wow, very nice. Thank you. Methodology. So the methodology for weaving this dice bag, or the methodology I was talking about when I mentioned making this cube? I don't just need clarification on the question, because as I said, it was it's very unscientific process in which I estimated how many rings I was weaving per hour while weaving this. It was just work on it for a number of hours, weigh it, and calculate how many rings I had added, and then divided that by the number of hours. But I didn't have a timer on or anything measuring how many rings I was adding exactly, right? So the best guess was 150 to 200 rings an hour. These rings are doubled up. It's a awkward project to work on, so that slows you down. And when you're just making European foreign one like this dice bag right here, that you can do that really quickly. Byzantine, you can weave Byzantine really quickly, right? Like this bracelet right here. Are we not focused on stream here? There we go. This Byzantine bracelet, right? Byzantine goes pretty quickly. There's not a lot to it, so you just keep weaving and weaving, and there you go. A lot of chain weaves are that way, right? Like this full Persian necklace, right? I mean, once you get going, once you have enough to get a hold of, it goes really fast. How much for what? This? If I ever make another one, I'll let you know. This is $120 in niobium, these blackened rings, and this took me 12 hours to make. So somewhere over $240. I don't know where. What did you miss? There was a fiasco in the kitchen. Have I done Helm Sheet? I've done Celtic Vision. It's not quite the same thing. Yes, the skinny. This one? The full Persian one. One of these, we're looking, I don't know. If I had to guess, somewhere around $100, right? I don't know what these square wire rings cost anymore. Very cool. I love the reflection that comes off of this weave, and I would love to make more of this. So, but I mean, if I did commissions, I would have a better price for you available. I've never used a surgical nail, no. Okay. Jeep and Jamber, hang on a sec. Let me grab something for you. This is Celtic Vision, right? Brass and bronze. Let me see if I can zoom in here. So this is, I think, the closest to helm sheet that I've done. But I think this is, as far as I know, this is called Celtic Vision, and it's not the same as helm sheet. All right. And I have never used a surgical nail for anything that I'm aware of. I have a friend who does surgery prep work. He is a OR tech, runs a surgical thing, a surgical outpatient surgical service for plastic surgeons, and I could probably ask him for a surgical nail, but I don't know what I would use it for. You like that? That used to be wrapped around one of my coffee cups. That coffee cup got upgraded to a steel wrap, and I needed to do something with that Celtic Vision I had lying around, and so I put it on a water bottle. And it did not come out as well as I'd hoped. Right? For example, the bottom of this right here is not symmetrical. It's a little wonky. I actually I could probably fix that. I need to spend some more time on this and make this better, because that sucks. But anyway, and then the top up here, right? Little kind of not, I don't like it, but I could spend some more time on it and figure something else out other than what I previously did. Are any of the wraps you've done glued, or is it, it's all friction? Did I glue that? I have a flask that I stamped some leather with a chainmail pattern, and I don't think I glued that. But all of the wraps that I've ever done they're either friction or they are held in place. And I've got some antique bottles that I have. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8. Here we go. I have some antique bottles that I wrapped very early on in some stainless steel. One is elf weave wrap, and the other is a dragon scale wrap, and those are entirely friction. Most of the rest of them are held into place by the weave that I used. A lot of wine bottles. Coffee cups, beer steins. And I did that for a while. I've got another wine bottle to wrap. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's over there on my big table with all the projects that either need to be started or funded or are finished and just waiting to be sold. Or with bottle wraps specifically, when you're using smaller ring sizes like, I don't know, 20 gauge 1/8, you can get really close to being super accurate on the size of your wrap compared to the bottle, right? So it was not a difficult thing to get chainmail weaves to hold on to a bottle, you know? Just kind of wove rings until it was, you know, taut enough to go around the bottle, and then made it big enough, made it the size I wanted, and slipped it on. And they all hold themselves in place really well. So here, on the inlay that I have of the Scottish flag and thistle, right? That was glued to a board and put behind a frame. But I think that's the only time I've ever used glue. And I didn't make that, so. Alright. Oh. I think this is the fourth section. Yeah. So we've done 2, working on a third tonight. In total, we should have 4 or so by the time we're done here. Might do a little more work tomorrow. And if you're watching and you want to follow along with these projects, please drop a follow, because I update about once a day. I try to make a video before I go live, and you know, if it's just me coming on and saying, hey, I didn't get anything done today, but this is where we're at, because sometimes that does happen. You know, life. Like tomorrow, I gotta clean the house tomorrow, right? It's Monday, clean the house. I think we're done mowing the yard for the year, knock on wood. So, don't have to do that, but gotta get some vacuuming and sweeping and mopping done. So I won't be down here spending all my day working on chainmail stuff. But I should be able to get down here at some point. I've currently got one new hooded blanket and hoodie design that I'm working on. So I got to finish that too. Oh, you know what happened with the slideshow? Let me know if it kicks back on, because I don't know how many hundreds of pictures in that slideshow, but for some reason it's not like starting over. Right? For those who can't see what we're talking about, on the other platforms that I'm streaming on, all the normal ones where I can use regular streaming software, I've got a logo, I've got a video of me talking while I weave, and a slideshow of clothing I've designed that's in my store, projects I've completed, and it's kind of small and hard to see, but it's not starting back up whenever it finishes. That's what the issue was. I didn't realize it would do that. I thought it would just keep rotating through all the images. Okay. Alright, so if it's 102 rings around, and 48, and that's 8 rows, what's 8 times 48? 896, 144, 192, what's 192 plus 192? That's 384. It's 384 plus 16 times no. It's 102 times how many? 8. It's 800, so that's 1,200 some odd rings plus what? 8 reduced down to 3s. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. 15 is 21 is 26 is 35. Is that right? No. 33. So 33 times 6 plus 1,200. Alright, so 33, so 99, that's 200 around the top, plus 400, plus another 800, so 1,400 rings by the time we get done doing all of these. Maybe a little less than that. And so maybe 2,000, 2,500 rings total on this piece when it's all said and done. Actually, oh, you know what? I'm dumb. Here we go. We have the solution. Check it out. Let's go. Let's zero it. Okay. And it's 0.8 pounds. 0.8 of 947 is approximately 800 rings. 947 is almost 1,000, so 0.8 of 1,000 is 800. Plus all the rings we're going to add to it, so yeah, we'd probably end up somewhere around 2,000, 2,500 rings by the time we're done. Just a guess. For anyone watching that's interested, that is a NutriFit kitchen scale. And it's not super accurate, and neither is the ring count, but it's close. It's close enough for government work, and that's all I'm concerned about right now. As long as whatever project I'm working on uses up all these rings I have on hand, I am okay. So last time I made a dice bag, I took it into the local gaming store and got a very tiny set of dice, a whole set of dice, very small, kind of shiny black and white. And they have this bin full of dice that you can just select a cup of dice out of, right? So I think I will do that again, but I will go to the bin instead of buying fancy dice to fill this up. They did not, they're all gaming nerds, so they knew exactly what I had, pulled out of my pocket to fill up with dice. They're like, oh, it's a chainmail dice bag. Yeah, of course. We all have dozens of them at our houses. They were not impressed. Okay, what is this sound? We can skip this sound, whatever this is. All right. That's a much better sound now. I'm happy with this EDM music, I guess it's called. I need a drink of water, man. Where are we at? 9:54? Need some water. You know what would really suck, right? So if we get these all woven together and cleaned up and go to anodize them and then nothing happens. I think something will happen, but I also think that different grades of titanium don't anodize well. And this is a mystery grade. So I don't know what grade it is, and that's okay. We'll just throw it in the tumbler until it's shinier and clean, and then move on with our lives and not have a colorful addition to our window ledge chainmail collection. That would suck. It won't be the end of the world, but that's why I'm hesitant to invest the money into an anodizer. I should just bite the bullet and do it, but set up the anodizer. I can do most of that on the desk here. I don't like the idea of having a bin of distilled water next to my computer, but which is part of the reason why I want more cameras on the other tables, so that I can hit a number and switch to a different camera and do my work down there. That is the setup I would like to have. One day, we'll figure out how to do it. I used to have a really bad setup, and it's better now, but it, you know, can always get better, right? It is much improved over what it once was. Oh my goodness. Your brother does stuff like that on his stream? Anodizing stuff? I think it would make for good stream content. There's a guy on TikTok that does anodized titanium puzzles, and I want to own one day. They are ridiculously cool. He makes like one, right? And they're not cheap. And then whoever gets that one puzzle, that's it. 3 more rows. No, I definitely think that when I buy the setup, I can do it on stream, on camera, right here where I'm sitting. I know of people who have done stuff like that right next to their computer. They were fine, as long as I don't. Oh, the camera thing where you press a button, the angles change? Yeah. I want to be able to work at where I do my leather work. I want to, without having to shift all the leather stuff over here in front of the cameras. So I have an overhead camera, and I have the webcam in front of me, and I have my phone camera. I can do everything from my phone camera, but if I'm trying to stamp leather with my phone right there, no. That's not, doesn't seem like a bright idea. What's your, what does your brother stream? What does he do, if you don't mind me asking? Oh. Whew. Gaming and the occasional movie night? Nice. I don't do much gaming, but, and Jeeb and Jamber, you and I have talked about this before, but playing Legend of Zelda a lot over the summer was, I had a blast. My son had a blast. I've got to go. I think I was going through and upgrading all the armor and stuff and spending a lot of time doing that, but I think that I am just going to go and finish the game the next time I sit down to play. That's all I have left to do. I've done everything else except find all the Koroks and upgrade all the armor. Oh, and I haven't found all the frogs. I got less than 20 left of the cave frogs. Right, so. But when in order to upgrade some of the suits, I need 30 lizard tails or Lizalfos tails. 10 for each piece of the armor. It's like, that's a bit... It feels like a bit much. Because then you're just grinding away a ton of time, and so you're not even going to use the armor. I'm at the point where it doesn't matter if I upgrade the armor because I'm not going to use it for anything because I've already beaten everything, right? Like the armor that I need to upgrade has already been upgraded, and so, but every time I go play, I'm like, oh, well, let me just go grind on some of this out and upgrade this piece of armor and upgrade that piece of armor, and I've got the soldier's armor all the way upgraded, and I've got the armor that you get from the top of the Temple of Time. I have that all the way upgraded, as well as several other pieces, right? But it's like, what am I going to do with them, Some of the armor goals are excessive. You have the Twilight Princess set for it. Nice. Speaking of Twilight Princess, look at what my kid got me. This is The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Right? And it's... Here. He had a little book fair the other day, and he got me that, and that sits up there next to my Twilight Princess lunchbox. You have the complete set of the Twilight Princess armor. In Tears of the Kingdom. Yes. Oh, you were talking about the manga? Okay. That is my first ever manga book. And my son got it for me. And I was, he used to take over my game in Tears of the Kingdom, and he'd eat all my food, and he'd go and fight Lionels and just die over and over and over again. And I finally got him set up on his own, and he made it to about 10 hearts. Maybe 20 hearts. Maybe it was 20 hearts. But then he was like, alright, I've got enough hearts and power. And then he went to go fight the Ganon, the bad guy. And he kept dying, so he hasn't been playing it for a while. But he had a lot of fun playing it, even if he doesn't beat it. You also have a box set of the Zelda books that come in a treasure chest. Nice. There's a ton of Zelda content that I just missed. So I was in the army, or I was in college, or I was doing, career stuff. I was being an adult. It's like I didn't play video games for the longest time because most of my time is spent making chainmail, to be honest. It's like there's not a lot of things in the world that I'm good at, and video games sure aren't one of them. Zelda was fun. So I spend the bulk of my free time doing this. because I can. Makes a treasure chest sound when you open it too. Nice. What I need, I've got a Ocarina of Time poster up on the wall. And that really was the last... Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess were the last two that I got heavily into. And so there was some Tears of the Kingdom artwork at GameStop. Like wooden artwork. It was really cool. So I might grab something like that and put it up on the wall down here in the basement. Alright, one more row. Wow, that ring is out of round, isn't it? But I've got plenty of artwork up down here now. I got some Frank Frazetta, the hell are they called? Not pictographs, lithographs. I have some Frank Frazetta lithographs. You start a 3D print for the Hylian Shield from Twilight Princess today, so it's going to be out 10 pieces, I believe. Very nice. Very nice. I need a 3D printer. I don't need one. I want one. Just to screw around with. I know people get one 3D printer and then they buy 12 more and they make all their prints on their print farm and then they go to the farmer's market and try and sell it all, and it's cool, some of it, you know. I just want it just to see what I can design and make. Right, someone's already done 3D printed chainmail, so I tried to get them to sell me a piece, but they only sell the file. And I was like, but I don't have a 3D printer, so I don't have a need for the file. What I want is that 3D printed chainmail you made to add to my chainmail collection, because it's cool. But they wouldn't budge. That's okay. The last thing I need is, honestly, the last thing I need is more chainmail, right? So I've got chainmail themed hoodies and hooded blankets and let's see here, a whole window ledge full of chainmail, right? I don't need more, but there have been some of the last 3 items I purchased from other mailers or tried to purchase were the 3D printed chainmail someone made and a riveted chainmail bracelet that was combined with leather. That was really cool. I do have 2 scale mail lamps that someone else made. Those are awesome. And they've got the bulbs, the RGB bulbs. So you can set it to just change color. That's cool. You want to get that file, but you wanted to print it with metal embedded filament? That's the way to do it, man. It's like there are not a lot of people who make chainmail in the world. So even if machines can make it better, faster, stronger, whatever. You know, there's still going to be a lot of people who make a business out of making chainmail because sometimes it's just easier to do shit by hand, especially shit like this, right? Alright, we've got 4 of the trapezoid sections done. And that's going to take the diameter of this dice bag from 3 inches out to, I don't know, what is that? So here, 3 inches out to 4, 5, maybe. That's fine. And then we'll do a spacer section, and then we'll reverse the expansions with contractions like we have at the top and close it off at the bottom. And that'll be that. Right? Here, let's get this moved around. Flip camera. Oh, just made a mess. That's okay. All right. Needed those out of the way anyway. So yeah. We'll finish off the expansions tomorrow. Seam them all up. And it'll start to look more like something other than just this piece of chainmail that we've got going on here. So, okay. That's not bad. I got a notification from TikTok that says you've been live for 90 minutes. Don't forget to take a break. Well, it is 10:14. It is time for me to get going and get ready for tomorrow. Have I seen those chainmail ties? I have seen a few chainmail ties. They are cool. I have a dragon scale print chainmail tie, but the manufacturer, the ties were really short. So I never put them up and I never bought any more. But I do want to have that as something at my website at mailworks.com, where you can find all your chainmail themed apparel and accessories. So if you're interested in learning how to make chainmail, please go to my link tree, check out the Mailworks app. It's just got a bunch of resources in it that'll help you get started, and where to order rings, tutorials for weaving rings, different groups that talk about chainmail. It's free. And then, of course, please, if you enjoy what you're seeing tonight, go to mailworks.com. My website's also in the link tree. And go and find a chainmail-themed piece of apparel or clothing, apparel or accessory, and help support me in making chainmail content here on TikTok. All right, guys, you have been awesome. I appreciate all your comments and questions and just hanging out. I will be back with more later, and I will keep you guys updated as we move along with all these fun projects. All right, you guys all have a wonderful evening. Bye. Okay. All right, Jeep and Jabber, you have a good night. I appreciate you hanging out, and everyone else on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Appreciate you being here. I will be back on. I don't know when. I don't have a set live stream yet. So, and I don't even know if I'm going to commit to one at this point. I'm just going to stream whenever I can. All right. So, thank you for hanging out. This is where we're at so far, and we'll keep going later. You all have a wonderful